you genetically lazy?
What did you do?
Well...
1, 2, 3.
So I want 3 reasons.
Who is responsible for underachievement? Students or teachers? That's the question Tom Barwood and Heather Flint are exploring at St Mary's High School in Cheshunt, Hertfordshire. Flint's a former head with an impressive record in raising standards, while Barwood specialises in boosting students' motivation. St Mary's came out of special measures in 2005, but they're finding it hard to sustain improvements. And the school's contextual value added remains well below average. The school blames a lack of student ambition. Tom and Heather will be returning over the coming months to see if they agree and what can be done.
This is X squared. What's the length across here? What's the length down here? And across here is going to be what?
Last September, St Mary's finally gained specialist status in maths and computing. But head Stephanie Bembo's frustrated by the lack of progress.
We actually took 4 bids to get our specialist status. It was one of the things we really struggled with, and part of that was about our results doing this in either maths or ICT. So we weren't able to demonstrate that sustained performance that they were looking for.
High-achieving departments.
Also, there was some question about the existing site and the capacity to deliver specialist status on this site, because you may be aware we're moving to a new site.
Where is the new site?
The new site is about half a mile down the road.
Right.
On a greenfield site. We'll be twice the size.
What will happen to this place?
This will be flattened and houses built.
Right.
We were due to move in 2004. That was another layer of complexity to the special measures and the lack of faith that the community had in the school, because nobody really believed that the school was ever going to be built.
So the date now for the move
is September 09.
How interesting. So one of the things you've said is you want the pupils to have and the staff to be more ambitious and have want more for themselves and the school. You've got to get that, move on to a new site. What in your view is going to make a difference?
I think it is about student attitude to learning. We've paid attention to a lot of the quantitative ingredients of teaching and learning. You know, we've reviewed textbook, we've bought new textbook, we've made sure the teaching and learning environment is warm and inviting and inspiring. But we now need to engage learners in a way that makes them want to learn and be self-motivated and independent about their learning. And whilst there are some staff operating and expecting and setting really challenging targets for students, I think at times we don't set challenging enough tasks and have high enough expectations of the students.
This is the hi-hat section, OK?
Tom's trying to soak up the school's atmosphere in a typical Year 9 music lesson.
OK, so let's put the bass drum in first. Is it a good beat to just do this constantly over? I've seen some people shaking their heads. Tell me why. What should it be like? Yeah.
It's like more exciting.
More exciting. OK. So, if this is boring, is this more exciting?
They're very close and unusually so.
Meanwhile, Heather's checking to see if student data and target setting are being used effectively. She's with Deputy Head Lionel Cooper.
I mean, I don't know if you have looked at this, just the percentage of pupils who moved up 2 levels within Key Stage 3, between 2 and 3. What would that be?
I would have to work that one out.
Would you?
I'd have to go back and look at my figures for that.
Be interesting to do, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, for example, I'm working with a couple of schools where they've set themselves a target that every pupil in Key Stage 3 will move up 2 levels. Right. It's quite a challenging target, but it would be quite a shift here, wouldn't it?
Sure.
So what's been the response of your heads of subjects to this information, this particular information, the progress?
And they use it to show progression and comparisons with current Year 9s and setting expectations with current groups.
What about your conversion rates of level 5 to a C or above? Have you measured that by subject?
No. Not
Because that would be the equivalent, wouldn't it, of two levels? I think that might be.
What we're using at the moment, it's just come into school, is the Raise Online.
Yes.
Which shows conversion charts between the different key stages, and that information has been given to heads of subject.
So you're on a short course or long course?
Sure.
Yeah? So you get half a GCSE for doing this?
Yeah.
Is that, that's news to you, do I? Oh, yeah. So how easy is this?
Yes.
Really?
Once you grasp it,
yeah,
it's not too bad.
Some of those students who come in below the national average, we tend to not create so much value added.
And what about the headline figures? Is it 52% 5A to Cs, 27% with English and maths?
We're focusing on that in a real...
And what would you say, what would be your assessment of those figures in 2007?
They are realistic.
They're a fair representation of that cohort. I would have expected to know what percentage of pupils had moved up 2 levels in Key Stage 3 in English.
So it's back to the
and in
eyes
maths
and the prize.
and in science.
Just tell me the basics. Yeah, it's a bit like when you're dealing in business terms, and they talk about, well, yeah, fine, this is all very interesting. What's the bottom line?
Yes.
Are we making money or not?
Yes.
And making money is quite simple. It's just, what does it cost you to go out and do what you do? What do you make from it?
Well, it's the same question, except are you making progress? Are your pupils making progress? And there's a very pretty chart with lots of colours on that shows they're not. Well, it doesn't suggest they're not. It suggests that they're not making enough progress. It would be unfair to say they're not making any. They definitely are making some.
You could create them electronically or you could hand draw them. It's your call.
Former sociology teacher and assistant head Steve Dowling has been at St Mary's for over 20 years and knows the character of the school's intake better than anyone.
If we look back into the mists of time, this school, when I first arrived, was quite a negative place. I mean, I'm not hugely out of keeping with many schools in those days, but it was quite negative, and I guess that is a sort of heritage from which we are moving. I think sometimes we've possibly tried to put into place reward systems that are a little bit too complex, that just aren't simple enough to deal with. Perhaps we've not been sufficiently sensitive to the different needs that different age kids have in terms of rewards. I mean, I asked my Year 10 last week. I said, how do you want to be rewarded? When I reward you, do you want me just to pat you on the back? That's a great piece of work, fantastic. Or do you want me to give you a sticker? And of course, I thought they'd all say, I want you to pat me on the back. A sticker, I don't want a sticker. But hey, half of them put their hands up, I'd like a sticker, sir. And it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting. I think our perceptions as teachers and when we reward kids is sometimes not quite as accurate as it is when it comes from the students.
Yeah.
So it's like they're all just...
They're just
doing the gradual...
Yeah, they do sort of gradually filter out, and obviously there's a rugby practice going on.
Yeah.
They like to hang about and chat.
Well, that's good in a way. It's that school doesn't seem to be just kind of...
No, there's another element to it, and there's a bit of a social life here for them, and
because I think we forget just the fact that school is a social experience.
Hello, sir.
Oh, yeah.
One of the interesting things about moving the school to the new site, which is how much of the tradition and the soul can we take with us.
And that's just about how do you make sure you hit the buffers running? That you go straight through without kind of notice, not kind of, wow, we'll all just drift along, knowing that at some point we're going to the new place where life will be so different over there.
It's a huge challenge.
It's a month later, and Tom's organised a trip to the new site for some of the least engaged students. He's hoping to enthuse them about the school's future.
cross there to the edge to the grass, so just be careful as you go. Just obviously, if you tread carefully, you won't get the mud in the shoes. Guys, Niles. Guys, can you come away from the horse because it might bite you? Just come round here. Just gather round. I will explain to you. Hang on. So this boundary here, where you can see where the blue lorries are parked up, come back like till you see that there's a fence running across the bottom of that field. So not the first hedge, second hedge. That will be the boundary of the school. So you're going to have basically all this site from here all the way across to beyond where those trees are will be the school site.
Is there going to be a swimming pool?
I don't think so. I don't think that's in the plan. Well, you want a swimming pool?
Yes. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. The actual school will be just over here.
What about
The horses won't be part of the deal, yeah? This school is going to be this design. Have you noticed how running through the middle of it is actually a cross?
What's that?
Because you're a church school.
Okay.
But this would be all the classrooms and the actual school itself, and this bit will be open. Now, your dining halls will be here, the idea being that you can spill out to the central courtyard and there'll be places to kind of eat outdoors. The reason I brought you here, okay, this is going to be your school. You're going to go to this school. Now, if it's just built without any consultation, it might not be the school you want. The idea being if you have some involvement, you might feel like it's a bit more your school.
What the head has said is that she wants to raise everybody's game, as it were, so that pupils and teachers have higher expectations of what they can achieve. And I think one way into that is to develop a language in the school where everybody is talking about learning. Not so good school staff are sitting around moaning about the kids, looking for escape routes or people to blame for why things haven't gone well or as well as they wanted. And that's not healthy and it's not helpful. Good schools are ones where teachers sit around in the staff room talking about learning and teaching and what went well in their lessons. Because just going in...
Heather's hit on one possible solution, learning walks, which she's trialling with assistant head Jo Kelly.
But I think, so before we go in, it's up to you really on how the lesson is being run as to whether you want to speak to one child or a small group.
Okay.
The idea is that management drop in on students in lessons and ask questions about how and what they learn.
Hi, Roger. Can I just pop in and have a chat to a few of your students?
You certainly can.
Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
For senior staff, it's a radical shift, as they only usually see pupils who are misbehaving during the on-call system.
So, talk me through what you would do then. What process have you gone through?
Well, we designed our bag, but Sarah's got it, and we had to write about what we were doing. Write about the stitching and what process we need to make the bag, and then we got to design our bag and colour it in and make it. And then about a few weeks, I think we're going to be making the bag.
Oh, okay. And are you looking at each other's work?
Yeah.
And are you sort of talking about each other's designs?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Look. Okay. So you've done all that.
Yeah.
So have you enjoyed the practical side of it?
Yeah, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah? Oh, well, thank you. Oh, I'm going to come back and have a look at them when they're finished. Yeah? So who's going to do the best one?
Me.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. Thank you. I love the sewing. It's brilliant. Yes, it's lovely to be able to talk to students, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it's a real, you come out thinking, wow, they're really enjoying it. So, what are you learning?
We're doing about planning for our SATs.
You're learning about planning for your SATs? Yeah. Are you worried about your SATs?
If we didn't write, if we do like studying now, I don't think we'd be worried when we go for them.
Okay.
If we're confident.
You think you're ready?
Not yet.
You
soon.
are ready, I'm sure you're
soon,
ready.
Soon, we're getting better.
So what do you do in this lesson in particular that prepares you for doing well in SATs?
just like going over stuff that we don't really recognise, make us understand it and stuff.
How does the teacher know that you're not really good at?
We did the thing where we write stuff on the board where we didn't understand, and then we went all the way through it with it.
So do you not feel embarrassed about owning up to what you didn't understand?
No, because if we didn't own up, we wouldn't learn.
Right.
The worry I've got is that I would hate for staff to feel that it's a spying technique.
Just another way of
checking. Because we have a lesson observation schedule. We have all that in place.
Yes.
And then if it's another thing, staff will just be...
No, I think we need to talk about exactly how you establish it in the school, how it's very, very clearly different from a lesson observation. It's not a lesson observation.
No.
And how you give feedback to staff. Do you?
Is it
as you
necessary?
leave? And also, so what do we do now?
That's the next question I was going to have. Is you get this information, okay? You know, the students tell you they like this, they don't like that, they enjoy this area, that area.
Yes.
Then what do we do with it?
Yeah.
So, when you look out the window in the classroom, what are you going to see?
Is this one going to have a balcony? They said it is going to have a balcony.
A balcony, so you can stand there and give little speeches to your friends and followers. Just look out. Yeah, well, I think it'd be a nicer view out here, won't it? Be a bit nice than being stuck down there. So you'll be here from year 9, year 10, so 3 years you'll be in this school.
So you'll be the first people in.
Yeah? So really, it'll be you that sets the tone for the school. And the thing about the schools is this, is what people don't get is school is no more than a collection of buildings. All it makes it is the kids go to school. And now what's really important is when you're out there and people say, which school did you go to? And you go, I went to St Mary's. They're going to do one or two things. They're going to go, oh, St Mary's, yeah. Or they're going to go, oh, St Mary's, yeah, I've heard a lot about that school. Does a lot of interesting things. Now, the only people who dictate that is you. It's not going to happen by magic, OK? So what we're talking about today is coming back and having to talk about what this school will be like such that it's a place you're proud to come to and happy to come to and talk to other people and say, you should go to my school. So there we are, folks. That is going to be your new school. We're only naturally motivated when we think that something involves us and directly impacts on our life. The problem is today we've expected pupils to fit the system, not the systems to fit the pupils. And therefore, a lot of people, they're not actually disaffected, they're disengaged. And it's getting that process of engagement to take part.
Three months after their first visit, Barwood and Flint have returned for a final day at St Mary's. Tom's here to see some of his students lead an assembly about the new site. And Heather's come to check on the progress of learning walks.
And I just know from other schools that I've worked with that learning walks can be a very useful technique for not just focusing the attention of staff on learning, but also engaging them in a longer-term conversation about learning in the school, and particularly where in the past they may have been focusing on behaviour or attendance, where those issues are now less critical. There's a need to move on and make learning really what the school is all about.
Senior staff have been practising the walks, and Heather's observing Head of Year 11 Tony Crosby testing a new format based on 3 questions. What are you learning? What helped you learn today? And why do you want to learn?
So what's really helping you do this? What's helping you learn about this stuff?
Well,
how do you know what to do?
I'm getting help by the teachers. I don't really know, but the teachers are telling me like what I have to do because I'm quite behind.
Okay, so Miss is giving you extra help with this particular thing. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just put that. And
so just before you move on, can I ask Charlie what grade are you expecting to get, Charlie, in your GCSE?
For ICT.
What grade do you think you'll get for ICT?
Hopefully a C. Hopefully.
When you say hopefully a C, is that what you're predicted to get? That's your predicted grade. Yeah. And do you have a target grade that's higher than that? You know, that you could, if you really pulled out all the stops, you might get a B?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt there. I just wondered whether it might, particularly with year 11, to tighten up the questions a bit, much more, what grade are you realistically going to get? Is that the one you're aiming for? Do you know what you need to do to get the C or the B?
It's interesting, isn't it, how these questions are a little bit generic, but there's lots of ways that you can extend from them.
Yes. Now, I think they're a good starting point, but I think you'd lose a lot if you just stuck to those.
I mean, like I say.
Okay. You're inevitably going to ask more questions, otherwise it would be very sterile. But I also think you might want to consider, and I'll raise this with the head, using this to focus on school priorities at a particular time. So slightly more focused questions. Otherwise, you put a lot of energy into setting it up, it seems to be going well, and then it just dribbles away. Because it hasn't maintained the momentum and the focus.
I know. As far as the impact, the number of on-calls in the week has been reduced significantly.
Interesting. Now,
which I think is very interesting.
If that is partly because all of the leadership team are around more than they would have been. And the focus has shifted slightly. The leadership team is looking at good practice and learning rather than just having to come out for incidents and things that have gone wrong.
I'd like to see it become embedded in school practice, generally.
Where do you think the blocks are to that happening then?
I think one of the blocks is it is a huge step change for St Mary's. And on-call is a system that has been up and running for years. And students are used to it, staff are used to it. So I think we've got quite a lot. There's a lot. It's a huge amount to do.
Tom's hoping students will be inspired by hearing what their peers have to say about the new site.
It's a rather cramped little place, which of course it was really fine when it was built in 1959. Are you saying it's too old?
It's time this place was finally sold. Then with the money, we could pay to create the school our way.
Now stop! Imagine. Let's see just what could St Mary's be.
This shows exactly how the new St Mary's will look like. It's really exciting. I mean, look at this.
Oh yeah, very interesting.
This shows that the new St Mary's will have 50 classrooms.
50?
Yep, and 7 completely new computer suites.
Where?
There, and there, and there, and there, and there.
Ooh.
It's going to be good for lots of people. I mean, look at the size of the sports hall.
It's about the size of an iPod.
Personally, I think that the school's changed a lot. I think we've changed the reputation of the school. Because when I joined, everyone was saying, no, don't go to St Mary's, it's a bad school.
Really?
Yeah, and nowadays, more people are joining our school.
OK, so the school has improved. What needs to carry on happening to make it even better?
I think Miss Benbow, because what has been helping it is she tells us the progress of the school, like what's happening, and then we sort of tell our friends who tell like everyone else, and then it's like known as a good school. So to make it better is just to get more progress and then to let everyone else know.
It's like they've taken these two to the new site. I think they should do that more often.
Right, so visit the site for other people, regular updates, what's happening, where we're at, like a newsletter.
We should have done the same.
I think the school should listen to students and see what they want in their new school, so that if they get what they want in the new school, then they'll be looking after it more.
Like go on YouTube or something and create an account, and put our stuff onto it.
Yeah. YouTube.
I don't think
MySpace. Yeah.
We could have a MySpace for the school.
Or a website, yeah.
Finally, Tom and Heather report back to the head.
They were all for putting the little presentation that we did this morning on the website, or doing it on YouTube or MySpace. That kind of level of things, that then telling other people about it.
They're quite proud of it.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's about. It's when you get that sense of ownership, they do it, and I think they're really keen to contribute. And so I think, in many ways, the drive could be, and maybe should be, student-led. This is what we expect from our teachers, not this is what we're going to do for you. That's really.
But there are actually quite clear protocols for discussing issues around provision.
Yeah.
And we have engaged them before in teaching and learning and what they want.
Yeah.
But they do enjoy telling us what they want, and they're usually very, very astute.
The issue that you described to us that you want to tackle was one of low aspirations and moving towards developing your learning culture further. But I don't think we've found a great deal of under-aspiration on the part of the pupils, have we? You know, as you said, we've found articulate pupils who are ambitious for the school and themselves. So maybe the focus does need to shift somewhere along the line. I'm sure there are pupils who don't expect enough of themselves, but there might also be staff who have got low expectations of the pupils. The pupils are more capable than they might expect.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen aspirational work from students and this very positive culture beginning to grow. I think one of our queries is what we do to make them independently think that way. Because otherwise we end up with exhausted teachers, with students that are all ready to soak it up.
It might well be that you could use the learning walks to encourage both independent learning amongst the students, but also amongst the staff, the idea that that's what we're aiming for.
Yep.
And I think you can come up with questions that are much more targeted to what you want to find out. The link I think was missing, and you might want to challenge me on, is the link between learning and their pupils' own understanding of their either level of attainment in Key Stage 3 or their GCSE grades in Key Stage 4. And I thought you might want to use this as an opportunity to link the data that the school has with the pupils' own understanding of what they're learning and why and how they're going to make progress in particular.
We have a very complete monitoring and observation form for observers to use when they're in lessons. Maybe we got ourselves muddled in that we're getting that information there.
Yes.
Or we have a go at finding the information there.
Yes.
But maybe it needs to come into that other context as well, that more positive context. Of we're just interested in knowing about your learning. Take the point.